Hey, I'm Alex Ratcliffe from Board Game Co., and this is another Week in Review. Board game news, Week in Review, all the stuff, what I played, all of those things. Speaking of which, I should probably grab my phone over here for the stats part of what I played. And I imagine this is a shorter one than usual, although usually that's followed by having like the longest Week in Review ever. And I say shortest because the news section is fairly light. My topic of the week, I think, is a shorter one, which means it'll probably be like 22 minutes now, its own dedicated video. Either way, let's head on into it, jump on into it, starting off the bat with giveaways. Giveaways, I'll probably throw this in the title, but I have a bunch of badges to give away, and act now, or save $24 in free ship. I don't know, no, act now though, because this giveaway is basically only for today and tomorrow, I think. Today, just in case, but we'll see. Let me explain. So, first of all, I'm giving away 5 badges to Pax Unplugged, okay? 5 badges to Pax Unplugged. That will be December 10th through 12th. I believe it's in Philadelphia, I think, Pennsylvania. One of the P's, I'm pretty sure. I don't know exactly which one. It's somewhere. I mix up. I'm Canadian. Don't blame me. I'm Canadian. I know all the Canadian provinces, which is a blatant lie. I definitely don't know them all. But I am Canadian. I grew up in Canada. Moved to the U.S. when I was 22, which has given me, 11 years now to figure things out. I still haven't. Anyways, Pax Unplugged. Pax Unplugged, December 10th through 12th. 5 full thingy-majiggy badges, giveaways, all that stuff. It's a gaming convention, if you didn't know already. This is one of those which is more focused on the booth, the vendors, the buying, the walking around, all that stuff. I assume there are tables. I've never been. I've only really been to one convention so far. That was Origins. PAX Unplugged will be my second convention. I will be going there. As of right now, I'm just going the last day, so I'll just be there Sunday, which means if you see me, by all means, say hi, stop me, interrupt me, all that stuff, throw a tomato at me or something. Don't throw a tomato at me, that would be weird. But also, why are you carrying tomatoes? Who carries tomatoes nowadays? Anyways, PAX Unplugged. So December 10th through 12th, 5 badges for that. To enter for that, you have to put in the comments down below. Well, I mean, first of all, you have to be going to PAX Unplugged. If you're not going to go, preferably don't enter to take someone else's spot, because that'd be mean. But past that, just enter in the comments. Let's be completely uncreative today, because I didn't think of this beforehand. PAX, P-A-X. If P-A-X is anywhere in your comment at all, then, you'll be entered to win. So throw that in the comments if you want that. Secondly, and I'll give you details in a second, more details in a second. Secondly, I'm giving away 2 badges to WSBG, the World Series of Board Gaming. So if you haven't seen already, I'll throw a link down below. I did a video. I managed to say this is going to be like a shorter Week in Review, and I spent like 3 minutes on giveaways because I just keep rambling. This is what I'm talking about. This is the problem right here. I'm the problem. WSBG, World Series of Board Gaming. I did a video on that 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. But basically, they gave me 2 badge thingies to give away. So if you want to enter for that, that will be September 28th through October 2nd of, well, next year, because this year's already passed. So if you want to get those badges, that'll be in Vegas. If you don't know anything about it, watch my full video for a breakdown. The short version of it is it's a competition where you can play board games and win money. Like, you can win $25,000 if you are the best of all the board games that are played from the 16 different board games that definitely do not include Root. I say that because in my video, I gave you the 16 titles, and I accidentally included Root instead of Wingspan. The reason for that is completely my fault, but it's also because Lord of the Board announced Wingspan, and I guess I was rushing through his video because I just thought it was Root. I think he said he wished it was Root, and I was like, Root, boom, typed it down. Yeah, that was not a good look for me. But Lord of the Board, aside from Lord of the Board, I'll throw a link to his channel. He does fantastic deep dives into board games, so there's links down below. There's always links to everything we talk about. There'll be links down below. But yes, if you want free badges to the World Series of Board Gaming, 2 of those are being given away. And yes, you can win $25,000. I do recommend you go in knowing as many of the 16 games as possible. So if you do want one of these badges, look at the list of 16 games. Do not learn Root. Learn Wingspan instead. You can go to the website. The website has an actual list. My list is 15 of the correct games, and one that will throw you for a ringer if you don't know Wingspan. But anyways, yeah, 2 badges for that. And again, because we're going to be completely uncreative, entry for that is WSBG. WSBG. Got that? Awesome. Good. Great. Now, for context, for the winners of these two things and for the entries of these two things, WSBG, because of how far out in the future it is, I will be drawing the winners and announcing them in next week's Week in Review. I'll be doing it somewhere time-stamped, so just pop up in next week's review, check that out. WSBG, that will be announced next week in review. Okay, with me so far? So you have anywhere from now till, let's say, Wednesday evening to guarantee your entry point. These Week in Reviews, I tend to film anywhere between Thursday morning and, Friday morning, so if you want to be entered into it, you have to have your entry by Wednesday evening of next week. For the PAX giveaway, because of how soon it is and because of how little time there is to buy a batch, guarantee your travel plans, lock your spot, all of that, for that one in particular, I am only doing the giveaway. Man, this is a long segment on the giveaways. That will be only for today. So basically, if you want to guarantee your entry, type it today. I'll be announcing the winner in my to back or not to back on Monday. The 5 winners I'll be announcing in my to back or not to back on Monday. Please enter a comment today. You can enter a comment as much as potentially tomorrow as well, because I usually film my to back or not to backs on Sunday. So you probably have tomorrow safe, but just in case, I'm guaranteeing you today, and that's all you're officially guaranteed for that entry. And with that incredibly long tangent, let's head on into the news. So, starting off the bat, in the small news section, first of all, if you're backing Dice Throne, if you have any interest in Dice Throne, they have made the Tabletopia or Tabletop Simulator, I think it's Tabletop Simulator, they have made the online play available. You can check out their latest updates, so if you are interested and you want to see how the new characters feel, you can do that. You can head on over and you can play Marvel Dice Throne online and see if it's a game for you. See if you enjoy that system, or specifically what they've done with the characters, whether it's your first entry to the system or whether you know the Dice Throne system but you want to check out the characters, you can do that. Secondly, and this is more of a tangent thing, I just thought it was interesting, I tend to watch Awaken Realms, Marcin. He tends to have a Monday live stream, where every Monday he does like a 20-minute live stream where he answers questions, talks about updates. He's just basically just there for the audience, for the community that wants to talk to him and find out what's going on, ask him questions about the next game, when's the shipping, what's going on with the Lang update, or whatever it is, all those different things. But basically, I thought something interesting that I didn't think of. It makes sense, but I just didn't think of it. People asking about the cost of production, which is a regular thing that comes up nowadays. With all this talk of freight, people regularly, the next inevitable comment is, why don't we move the production to somewhere else so we don't have to deal with all these freight issues from China? And the usual answer is, the freight cost, even at the 4 times multiplier or whatever it is, doesn't remotely compare to what it would cost to actually produce elsewhere. And what Marcin said, which I think makes perfect sense, but I never thought of, is the fact that it's not just about the production cost. The production cost is a small savings, a small degree of excellence that China has, developed over years of doing this, but it's also the assembly cost. The assembly of the miniatures. Miniatures are not, if you don't know this, miniatures are not like printed in the unicast. Unicast, I'm saying that because at one point there was a company that printed in a single mold. Usually miniatures are assembled after being produced, and that comes down to the low labor costs in China. So you have to have not just the manufacturing, but the low labor costs are a huge factor. I just thought that was interesting. This isn't really news. This could have been a topic of the week, but I didn't have that much to add to the conversation. I just found it interesting, and I thought that at least 4 of you would find it interesting as well. Probably more than 4 of you, but like some number of you. Either way, next up in 2 game announcements. Only 2 game announcements. Either I've been off the web, which would be a good thing, or I just haven't been paying attention, which would be a bad thing, or there haven't been that many new game announcements, which arguably would be a good thing because I'm way backed up as it is. But basically, I have 2 small game announcements. First of all, Unlock, the escape room series of games, which are fantastic that I need to play through them. I'm so behind on that series. I think of them as like occasional date night stuff, and so I save them, but they keep coming out with more of them as faster than I can actually get through them, so I'm just building up a backlog, which is great for when I eventually retire and play Unlock all day long. But Unlock, they have a new one, the Game Edition, where you're going to be playing through Ticket to Ride, Pandemic, and Mysterium themed Unlock adventures. On Ticket to Ride, for example, you'll be on a train with stopping some heists or barons or something, I don't know exactly. But the point is, I like the idea of the Unlock system crashing into game worlds. There's so much potential here. Like a ton of potential. Pick any game system, Gloomhaven, Too Many Bones, I don't know, what's an amazing game? Terraforming Mars. You can pick any of these games. You're Terraforming Mars, you're trapped on Mars. You're basically playing out the Martian. You have to survive. There's so much stuff you can do with the Unlock system. The only potential downside is you likely want to have played the games to have an added degree of interest, but I think there's a ton of fantastic crossover potential there, and I'm excited to see them further expand into that. I don't know if they will, but I'm excited to see it if they potentially do. And then next up, they have Borderlands. Borderlands announced a board game. This is going to be a Zombicide-esque style game where you have, your Borderland characters and you're fighting against baddies and all these things. I don't know the details yet, but it is a cooperative 1 to 4 player experience in the genre of Zombicide or any of these, cooperative survival minion hordes kind of situation. I just hope that they find some way to incorporate the vast variety of weapons that you find from Borderlands. I mean, I can't imagine that actually translating well to a board game. The weapon system in Borderlands, I can't imagine. That's just like a stat boost nightmare. I don't know what they're going to do. There's a lot of things you could do that would make it fascinating. I like Borderlands, the video game. I played through Borderlands 3. I think 3 is the most recent one. In either case, I played through the most recent Borderlands all the way start to finish, none of the DLC. I did that together with a friend who I'm going to then sit down and play Borderlands, the board game with, because he's into Borderlands a lot. I just enjoyed it. Which brings us to the topic of the week. Topic of the week is Kickstarter versus retail. This is a personal conversation. This has nothing to do with any of you, but I'm just happy the fact that currently, for the next 3 weeks, what's the date now? It's the 11th, I think, which means you're watching this on the 12th. Yeah, that sounds about right. You're watching this on the, no, you're watching this on the 14th. That sounds, the 13th. You're watching this on the 13th. So, for me, you're watching this on the 13th, and between now and the 30th, I think I have maybe 2 Kickstarter prototypes to cover. Okay, and granted, the way this tends to work is I will now get a host of other Kickstarter prototypes that show up on my door. Now, when I say between now and the 30th, I don't mean that this is the last time you'll see a video going up on the channel. I already have a few Kickstarter prototype videos that will be going up when they're ready, so those are already done, filmed, played, all that stuff. But past that, in terms of stuff I have to sit down and play, there's not a lot that I currently have to sit down and play. I have to play Harakiri. I might be getting the Borderlands prototype. We'll see. I'm not sure yet. I reached out, so that's, we'll find out there. Then there might be 1 or 2 other things I'm missing in terms of stuff that I have to sit down and play between now and the 30th. Which means for me, for the next 3 weeks, basically, roughly 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks, maybe-ish, I get to actually focus on retail games, which is a lot of fun. Not just to play. Playing, I do sneak in plays of retail games frequently enough, but to actually cover on the channel. If you've been paying attention, then you know that Kickstarter coverage for my review copies tend to be the vast majority of the reviews I do. I occasionally sneak in non-Kickstarter reviews. You're starting to see this even just this past week where I got Maquis and Land vs. Sea reviews up because I finally had free days. Between unboxings that I do, which I enjoy the unboxings and ramblings. For me, they're soothing. I like to sit down and just do the whole unboxing rambling at least once a week on my end, and then they have to go up on the channel at some point. But the Kickstarter landscape of covering prototypes is a lot of fun. I have a tremendous amount of fun doing it. It is awesome. Also, it's nice to be able to sit back and finally spend some time and energy actually not just getting in a single play here and there, but really dedicatedly covering a bunch of non-Kickstarter games. My channel, for context, my channel started, with me just, talking, because that's what I did. But I did have the occasional 1 or 2 reviews. My first video that was not me just holding a camera and just walking around my basement. My first video, I believe, if I'm recalling correctly, was Zombicide versus Cthulhu Death May Die. And while technically both Kickstarter games at the time, they weren't previews, they were retail available copies. And then I had Arena, the contest, so we went straight down the Kickstarter rabbit hole right there. But either way, for a while I did occasionally talk about the occasional retail game. I talked about Architects of the West Kingdom, I did Air, Land, and Sea, I did another game that I can't remember the name of it, but it was another game. There were a few handful of reviews I did. And then as I shifted to the Kickstarter landscape, eventually I started getting people reaching out, sending me prototypes, doing the whole prototype coverage thing where I'm covering, games for their campaigns. And I love it. Genuinely do. But also, I try not to have this channel be mostly reviews. This channel, I like to have stuff like this right now, talking to you, going through things. I like to have lists. I like to have Kickstarter coverage. I like to have to back or not to back, should you back it, unboxings, topical conversations. I love topical conversations. Whenever I can do a video covering some sort of thing about the board game space, those are amongst my favorite content. For me, it's never been about trying to flood the channel with reviews and playthroughs and all that stuff. Not because they shouldn't exist. They absolutely should exist and they're essential, but because it's not my preferred content, and so I want to do the content that I prefer. But that does mean that if I'm covering 4 games a week, 4 prototypes a week, that will basically take up all my review slots for the week. Because I play a lot of games, but I still have to play a game a bunch of times to actually review it. I play like, I don't know, 30 games a week, 25 games a week. It depends on the... I'm at 1,000. Actually, we do the math that way. I'm at currently just about to cross 1,000 games for the year. 1,000 games played for the year. You could do the math on that. We have 2 months left in the year, basically a month and a half. So what is that, 40 weeks? So I'm playing around 25 games a week on average. Roughly, 25 games a week. 25 plays, not games. Games are different. But that's, again, to review... So I could review 4 or 5 games a week, but that's where it caps out. I can't review everything. I can do playthroughs, because those don't need a review. I can do unboxings, but reviews are probably in the range of 4 to 5 games a week, unless I start playing more, which won't happen right now, might happen someday. But again, I don't want to flood the channel with that stuff. So it means that because I cover prototypes, they take up the bulk of the time. But I have all these games. Games I backed, games I bought, games publishers sent me. I have all these other games that are sitting there on the shelf waiting to be played. Games that, not just waiting to be played enough that I could review them. Have I actually played any of these? I actually have played some of these. But I need to play these more to cover them. Every single game on the table here is a game that I want to talk about. And there's hosts of them over here, over there. There's hosts of unplayed games or not yet played enough games that I want to talk about. But I just don't, because I keep covering the other stuff. The prototypes that come through. I keep talking about those instead. So, speaking selfishly, speaking personally, I like the idea of having more time right now to talk about games that I, well, want to talk about. I like the idea of having that creative outlet. There's the opportunity to talk about more games in more ways, because it's not, I don't want to flood the channel with it, but I do like talking about games. At the end of the day, I've said this before, I'll say it again, I love what I do. It is immensely enjoyable to me. And I just like talking about games. And I feel that these retail things have been neglected. And they absolutely shouldn't be. I think Kickstarter prototypes are a huge, important thing to cover. I think it's important. That's when the buying decision is happening. I think having coverage is important for you. And for me, it helps the channel because obviously there's less prototypes going around. So inherently the format is not exclusive, but it's more exclusive. But it's important for you in the sense that if you're buying a game at that time, then yeah, that's when the coverage and opinions are important. But retail also needs that. Now granted, Dice Tower will cover every single game under the sun, and they are phenomenal. You should watch them. But that's basically it. I think I dragged this topic out as long as I could before it gets weird. Anyways, moving on to what I played. This may actually be a relatively short video. Not that short, but relatively short is still relatively short. Okay, let me just ignore the message I got and go down here and find BG Stats. So, BG Stats is where I track my plays. As usual, I am missing a few plays. What did I play already? What did I play? For Glory? What am I missing? I'm trying to remember what I played that I haven't logged yet. I don't know. I'll take a look. I know For Glory. I don't know what else. Anyways, come. Okay. Let me go ahead and go through this. Starting from. Not there. Thursday. Let's start from Thursday. I never really remember when I filmed the last week in review, so I'm just going to start from Thursday this time. Starting with the Order of the Vampire Hunters. I got another play of that. We'll have coverage soon enough. I think that was my last play of it. I think that was the play that finished off all the stuff, but I'll take a look in a second. Yeah, I think that was the last play. Just looking through this right now. Then we have Castle of Burgundy. I got in a play of Castle of Burgundy, which is fantastic because it's a great game and it's such an amazing experience. I do not play enough, but it's awesome when I do. I played Runestones. Runestones from, I don't remember the designer. That's who it is. Is it Rudiger Dorn? It might be Rudiger Dorn. But Runestones is a game I've had in my collection for quite some time. I've heard some people, including Broken Meatball, who's fantastic. He loves the game. And I got in a play of it. I don't love it yet, but I enjoyed it. To be very clear, I enjoyed it. I will have more content. I don't know if I'll have content on the channel. I don't know what my plans are, but I'll tell you my plans at least this much, which is I at the very least plan on playing it with the expansions. I have both expansions. They supposedly add to the experience. I'm curious in what way and what they do. I really enjoyed it. It's a fun game. It's just, there's a lot of fun games out there. So Runestones is great. I do want to play it more. We'll see how it goes. Korra Rise of an Empire. I should have coverage of that coming soon, so I won't talk about it yet. We have 5 Tribes, another game I haven't played in a long time. That was great to pull out. A good reminder of why I enjoy it. First time playing with the Artisans of Nagala expansion. I have both expansions. I haven't played with either of them. I finally played with Artisans of Nagala expansion. I see no reason not to include that expansion every time going forward. And then there's still the other one, the Sultans or whatever it is that I haven't played yet. Ethnos, another game I haven't played in a while. Ethnos is a game that I keep for a specific reason, along with Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig. I keep both those games because they handle a wide variety of player counts and they're accessible. So they're often helpful for when I have geek adjacent over at my house, meaning when I have geeks over at my house who like board games but aren't part of our typical board game night, and they're down to play something. So I need something that's lighter, that plays at a higher player count. I find that those work well for that, and it did work well for them. We have Overboss. I played a few games of Overboss. I don't yet know if I'll have coverage coming to the channel, so I won't yet talk about that one yet. I will say it's basically falling into the same vein as Cascadia, Calico, Verdant, the new one, Nova Luna? No. Is it Nova Luna? No, it's not Nova Luna. It's something Capital Luna? Luna Capital by Devere Games. That same idea of picking things and trying to manage multiple scoring objectives. I think this one leans a little more into the theme and a little less into the gameplay. But for right now, it's staying in the collection. We'll see how things go and whether I talk about it more. Resident Evil, the board game. Oh my gosh, that was fun. So I'll talk about this more because this was a play on Sunday that was filmed and went up on Tuesday, so I'll talk about this when I talk about the videos of the week. More Korra Rise of an Empire. We have Clash of Decks. I probably won't be covering that one. I got in a few plays of Clash of Decks with my friend. My problem with it is, so it's an active Kickstarter. They have Season 2 right now. I don't know if I cared enough. First, okay, let's take a step back. I probably won't be covering that one because Clash of Decks is already leaning into a category that I typically don't go down that rabbit hole, which is the rabbit hole of having just two-player head-to-head combat games from decks of cards. There are interesting exceptions, and it's a weird balance of what I count as that versus not. Like Rift Force from Capstone Games, I count that as a closed system that works really well, versus Clash of Deck feels like, maybe because of the draft and the knowing all the cards, I think that might be it. The more cards you have to know in a system, the more I count it as a two-player head-to-head. Games like Codex from what's it called, Sirloin Games. Games like, I don't even know anymore. There's a lot of games that have just knowing all the cards, and that's why I tend to pull out a bit. But overall, Clash of Deck, I appreciated what it's doing, while also feeling that there's a lot of grind to it. Supposedly, if you play it more, that grind goes away. So I don't feel like I don't feel like I've played it enough to cover it competently. I was okay with it. I didn't love it, didn't hate it, but I don't know if I want to dive back into it. My City. Got in a few plays of My City. Finally closed it out. 25 games of My City. And if you're thinking to yourself, why 25? Aren't there only 24 games of My City? Yes, but I tried one play of the evolving My City, and that will be the last time I play My City. I expected that basically My City is a legacy game for context, and My City is it's a legacy game that has 24 plays in it. Once you're done with those 24 plays, you can play the continuation of just, whatever. I didn't feel the need to play the continuation. I thought My City, and I don't know if I'll do coverage, maybe I will, maybe I won't. Ooh, I know what to do. Okay, I think My City is a game that, as a polyomino game in its own right, there are much better games out there. Much better. Not like Getter games. There are much, much better polyomino games out there. But I like Legacy. I think Legacy enhances gameplay. And the Legacy of My City enhanced the gameplay. The evolving rules, the way the game changes around you, the impact and evolution of the city you're building out, I think that did add to the experience. I would recommend My City easily. I would never recommend My City without the Legacy aspects. So yeah, 25 plays of My City, which is also helpful because I have a 25 play challenge here, and getting 24 plays would have been obnoxious. Skytier. I got into play a Skytier. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm excited. I really like Skytier. Yeah, that's it. That's all I have to say. I really enjoyed Skytier. I'll talk about it more at some point. I don't know. I need to play it more because one play is not a review, but I really enjoyed Skytier. I'm really excited to dive into it. Just saying. Terraforming Mars. Got another play of Terraforming Mars. Paper Dungeons. Got a few plays of Paper Dungeons. That is it's not on the table here. That's a roll and write game. I'll have coverage of that next week. We'll talk about it then. Wasteland Express Delivery Service. Another game that I played and played once. Enjoyed it. I liked it a lot, but it's pick up and deliver, which is a genre I don't tend to love. It's a genre I tend to be okay with, and I think that I still would just rather play Zia. I don't have Zia. I might get Zia back. It kind of made me want to get Zia back. That's what it did. Zia is a game that I love. I include Zia in a list of, there's a video I did once, the best 10 games I don't own, specifically around games I've played, but moved on from, but they're the best ones I don't own, and Zia was, I believe, the second highest on that list, and I kind of want to get Zia back. Wasteland Express just made me want to get... Wasteland Express is a good game. It's from Pandasaurus. The benefit over Zia is it's an hour shorter. It's a totally fun experience. I would happily play it again, but I think I just want to get Zia back. Magic Maze on Mars. I'm continuing to go through that with Ricky. I'll have coverage on this channel at some point. I think we're going to do what I did with Magic Maze, which is play through the entire game review it, and then move on. Although I didn't technically review Magic Maze. Rolling Realms from Stonemaier Games. This one I will have coverage next week, but it is a delight. Rolling Realms, and this is a sad thing to say, Rolling Realms might be my favorite Stonemaier games that I've played since... Well, I don't actually love Stonemaier games in general. I like Viticulture a lot. I love Viticulture. Viticulture is fantastic. Scythe, Wingspan, they've all been okay to me. I think there's Charterstone. I really enjoy Charterstone. Stonemaier games in general have produced a lot of games that are well loved. The recent games have had a lot more controversy, and I know Pendulum's on the table here. I haven't played Pendulum yet, I know. But the recent games have had a lot of, not controversy, but I think letdown in the sense that the expectation is here, and then the reality is over here. They've still been huge successes. Pendulum sold a ton of copies. Tapestry sold a ton of copies. But for me, Rolling Realms is my favorite Stonemaier Games game in a while, possibly since Charterstone. And I know that's a weird thing to say, it's just that it's really super accessible. It's a super accessible roll-and-write game that I've really been enjoying. I will be talking about it next week, just spoiler to the review. I've just been powering through it. I think I have like 10 games under my belt already, and I just pulled it out this week. In fact, if I go through here, it's Rolling Realms, Rolling Realms, Rolling Realms, and that's where this list ends. I think that's everything. For Glory I missed. What else did I miss? I don't know what else I missed. There's always things I missed. Either way, we'll go ahead and call that a day on the what I played stuff. So, let's go on into it. Do I have coffee left? I have coffee left. Excellent. Excellent. Cool. Week in review. So much for this being a short video. I told you, it doesn't happen. It does. I think it will happen, and then it doesn't happen every single time. But at least I know well enough to know that it probably won't happen, even when I think it happens. Saturday we had a video for Hegemony. Hegemony, which is currently an active Kickstarter. Long story short, I don't yet know if I'm backing it. I think I want to back it. I really enjoyed the game. It's a solid game. I gave it a 4 to 5. Really enjoyed it. And my biggest problem is I don't know if it'll get played. It's a game that I want to play. I don't want to teach it. That's the problem. And I definitely don't want to teach it only to have one person be like, wasn't for me. And then I have to teach an entirely new person the whole system to bring them back in. Really good game. If you have the right group for it, I think it's amazing. I'm torn. By all accounts, I should not back it. But I like the game. It's a weird system. Not weird system. Weird place to be in. But yeah, that's a Hegemony. Basically, I didn't even tell you about it. Asymmetric game with an economic aspect, card-driven system. Really well done. Really elegant. Works phenomenally well. Excited to play it again. I just don't know when or how I will. Moving on, we have Saturday. Later that Saturday, we had Resurgence. Resurgence is again an active Kickstarter. Now, as of the time of me talking to you, it hasn't funded yet. Hopefully, it will fund by then. If you are interested in this at all, I recommend getting this game. It is a really good game. It's from Stan Kodonsky, who has done some fantastic designs. If you liked Endless Winter, if you had the chance to play it on TTS or something, if you've liked Dice Hospital, if you've liked Rurik, if you like Rurik, Resurgence feels like what happens if you take Rurik and apply it to a more Euro system. Really good game. Really enjoy Resurgence, and I really hope it funds. If it cancels, I don't care if it cancels, as long as it comes back. I don't care about the individual timeline of a Kickstarter. But if they do cancel, I want this game to be published, because it is a solid game that I am looking forward to diving down back into again and again and again. Then on Sunday, and in case it wasn't clear, yes, I'm backing Resurgence. Sunday is Do You Need That Game? Going through a whole long list of games. In general, this is a video series that I do covering the last month of reviews that I have, which just generally means like covering like 25 games or so in a single video. And in this case, they had lots of solid games. We had Too Many Bones, we had Furnace, Paleo, Cascadia, a whole bunch of amazing titles, and then a whole bunch of passable titles. So you can watch that video. The general concept of that series is trying to distinguish between, yes, there's good, but there's great too. Now, it's always hard because my opinion is inherently intertwined, but I try to differentiate, does a game stand out, and then give other comparisons. So like, yes, this was great, but also I think this already did it better. You know, yes, I enjoyed, well, these games, I haven't played half of them, but whatever it is, trying to find those aspects. Like Resurgence, a good example. The answer to Resurgence and Hegemony is they are both very unique in what they're doing. We don't have a lot of strong asymmetric Euros, at least not in the weight class. I think the only one we have is Merchant's Cove, and Hegemony does stand out in that sense. But also, it's going to be hard to table. Those would be the balances of, do you need that game? Resurgence. I think Resurgence is a lot of things that are typical and normal, and then some things that are really well done, that are different, that provoke thoughts and changes that make it stand out in a crowded field. I think Resurgence does stand out in a crowded field. Anyways, that was Do You Need That Game? Later on Sunday, I did a Resident Evil 3 unboxing. One of the lesser exciting unboxings I've done, just because it's like a retail copy with like one expansion, not a whole bunch of stuff, and I didn't love the miniatures to begin with, but I do like the game, so I've since played it, by the way. I got the game, I unboxed it, I played it, and then like 2 weeks later the unboxing went up, so I need to continue to dive into it. We'll talk about that more. Then on Monday we had to back or not to back. I am finding myself convincing myself to not back a bunch of games because there are a bunch of games I want to back. I'm probably getting Monster Apocalypse. I'm probably getting the Elder Scrolls Oblivion. I don't know what else. Elder Scrolls Oblivion? Elder Scrolls Skyrim. Sorry about that. Elder Scrolls Skyrim. And then I'm talking myself out of a bunch of other games because there are too many games and a bunch of them I want to back. Then on Tuesday we had a bunch of those retail reviews that I talked about. We had Land vs. Sea, a review of Land vs. Sea, delightful little game. 2-player and 3-player are the strong places. I think 4-player is a weaker player count for the game. Really enjoy 2 and 3 though. Solid game. It's very fast, very punchy, very mean. It falls into like this filler plus spot. It's like, you can knock out a game in like 20-30 minutes and it's very rewarding in what it does. And again, plays well at 2 and 3. The 3 stands out as being very unique in the way it handles the third player. Completely asymmetric. Really enjoy this system. That's from Good Games Publishing. Then later on Tuesday we had Maquis. Review for Maquis. It is a solo game that I so far really enjoy. I have critiques about the way it plans out, the luck aspect of it. And somebody commented on the video, which I agree with, saying, hey, luck's a part of all games, why is it a problem here? The answer is because of the solo nature of the game, the luck it's not like luck favors one player versus another. It's just that you can really get just completely screwed with luck here. You can play it to the best of your abilities and just get completely screwed with bad luck. There's only so many, and I think I find that way in many games. What was that? Oh, that's my daughter's tablet. That's obnoxious. I think I find that way in many games. There are many games that have, like Bullet as an example. Luck is different in terms of what impact luck has on a game. I think when you plan around statistical relevant odds, and then the luck screws you there, that's when it's frustrating. If I walk into combat, and if I need a 5 or 6 to win on a die roll, and I don't get it, that feels fine. If I need a 2 through 6, and the only thing I shouldn't get is a 1, and then I roll a 1, that is a frustrating experience. And I don't like it when games offer that type of experience of the luck integration in a game. Overall, I do like Maquis. It's staying for now. It's light, solo, puzzly. I want to go through it. I don't think it stays long term. I think it's the kind of game that sticks around for a year or two, and then eventually I move on from it. But for right now, it's definitely staying. Oh, and Land vs. Sea is definitely staying as well. Oh, and review-wise, score-wise, Land vs. Sea is a 4. Maquis is a strong 3. It's a strong 3. The luck really takes it down a notch for me, and I haven't actually rated it in the video, but Maquis is a strong 3. I could see it improving as I play more. I could also see it settling at a medium 3. So strong 3, just on the cusp of hitting a 4, but that luck does take away meaningfully from the experience. We have Tuesday. Later on Tuesday, we had Crimson Head prototype play, basically. I did a online play with Resident Evil. I believe their campaign is like ending now. I'm sure there's late pledge options, but basically Resident Evil is a fantastic experience that every single time I play it, I enjoy it more. I was really happy to get the boss play against the Crimson Head prototype. This beast that you can't kill. You can't kill it. So it's just constantly chasing, abomination of a sort, if you've played Zombicide, that just keeps hunting you no matter what you do. And all the tactics you've learned in terms of how to survive in Resident Evil don't apply anymore. You have to learn new tactics to survive against this thing. That best case scenario, you can shoot it so that it takes a small break while it recuperates its health and then gets back up and chases you down. Incredibly fun, really enjoyed it, and that's just like a mini boss. It's not even like a major boss in the game, so I am very excited for Resident Evil. That game keeps growing on me. Very, very excited. Either way, I enjoyed it quite a bit. And again, the series caught me out of nowhere. I wrote it off. I wrote it off as like, oh, it's an IP Zombicide-esque knockoff. Like, I literally told Steamforged Games when they reached out to me originally, I said, hey, I'm happy to cover it. I assume I'll like it. I just don't assume it's a game for me. And they, like, to their credit, they were like, sure, no problem, here you go. So, like, good on them for, like, they're talking about a Kickstarter that they hope to do multi-million dollars, and, I mean, it's at 1.7 or something like that, and I basically said to them, I assume it'll be fun, but not a game that I love. And they didn't care. That's very good on them. Mad props to them. Anyways, moving on, that was Tuesday. Wednesday Wednesday we had two videos. We had helping with reviews. So I did basically a video about the nature of my reviews, which you may have noticed that my reviews have been fluctuating in the format over the past few weeks. Still experimenting with things, and one in particular, there's one that I filmed that'll be going up in like January because of timelines and restrictions. So that's like we just magically threw a 10-point scale in there for funsies that may or may not be present at all. For context, I will be going over the results of in that helping with reviews. I ask you a bunch of questions, I talk about general thoughts, and then I have a link to a poll, which a few hundred of you have filled out when I last checked. I don't know what the number's up to now. For all of you, thank you for the feedback. It's very helpful. I will be doing a video going over that feedback and how I plan on doing things moving forward, at least for now. Nothing's in stone, ever. I don't feel the need for something to be stuck in stone. I will continuously iterate everything I do on this channel over from time till whenever, just to make it as good as it possibly can be. Right now, though, those results will form what I do right now, but it won't be stuck in stone. For context, ratings will be coming back. That was very clear that ratings were overall desired from most people, so ratings will be back in the system. The rest of it we'll talk about more as we go through it. Later on Wednesday, I did an unboxing for Unsettled, which is another odd unboxing because I'm halfway through the unboxing before I realize this is all spoiler stuff. I can't go through the cards. These are spoiling the various planets. I can't do that. And so I kind of halfway through the unboxing, I'm like, and this is a planet box that we won't talk about. So yeah, that was a halfway unboxing, although I still like doing it because I enjoy them. But either way, that was later on Wednesday. Then on Thursday we had 5 small box game reviews, basically going through 5 different smaller games that, again, this goes back to just the overload of games I'm trying to cover, and a lot of times smaller games get pushed off inherently. The nature of the game is that, oh, this is a game that, nobody has heard of, or not nobody's heard of, but fewer people have heard of. It's not really a popular game. If I do a dedicated video on this game, it'll get like 700 views, and mentally, it's a weird balance. I don't like the balance, but the balance I have as a content creator is I do want to put up reviews of games that are more popular, because that gets me more views, and more views are good. It helps to grow the audience, helps grow the channel. It's not that I would ever not cover something inherently, but if I'm choosing between Anno 1800, or what's a game that was in that video, or Food Fighters from KTBG, guess which one gets more attention? So that's a weird balance. So I shoved 5 games into that video. I don't remember what they all were. There was KTBG, there was Captain Carcass, Dead Man's Draw, there was K3, and then 2 more games. Yeah, there was stuff in that video. Either way, I put 5 smaller box game reviews into that. This is a thing that I will be, again, going back to the results of the poll. Overwhelmingly, people said for smaller games, do a roundup. So I will expect to see more of those. More, not top 10 lists per se, but rather a roundup of a bunch of less popular titles in a single video with quicker thoughts, quicker overviews. Some of them may intrigue you with opinions and all that. But that is basically the Thursday's video. Then on Friday I did what I backed in October with my wife, with Rena, which is a regular series we do. This time she made me back 2 games. It's been a while. Generally the format is I go through the stuff I was considering and then tell her where I landed. And partially because I've been trying to be more restrictive. For context, there were 22 games that I wanted to get, and 6 of them are the ones I actually backed. I only backed 6 of the 22. I had a lot of shelf control this month, so I was very happy with that. But Rena did make me back 2 of them, one of which I was okay with the fact that I said no to, the other which I was very happy that she made me back. Basically, what is it? Keep the Heroes Out. Keep the Heroes Out was a cute little game that I was like, I can't justify it. It was like $100 for like a cartoonish, lighter game. Not necessarily light, but lighter, and I couldn't justify it, and Rena made me back it. Granted, I don't know if she knew the price. I think I said the price. I don't remember. Either way, that is what I backed in October. You can check that out to see which of these 6 games. And then as usual, I always do this new thing in those videos where I pick 1 and then 3. If I could only pick 1, if I could only pick 3, which ones would be those? And for context, the 1, if I could only back 1, it would be Beast. So that was October. Moving on, that was Friday. Moving on to today. Today we have 2 things going up. I don't know for sure on one of them. We for sure have Moonrakers going up. A review for Moonrakers, which again, I've been pushing off all these retail reviews for a while. And then secondly, we probably have a review for For Glory, the expansion, going up. I say probably because I haven't filmed it yet, and I'm running out of time, so hopefully I get it filmed. If not, we'll see when we get that one. But that is basically the today and all that. Next week we have a few things happening. First of all, I have a video going up on Sunday, talking about rankings on Board Game Geek. This is inspired by an article from Eric Martin, and I took that and a whole bunch of other stuff, and I'm doing a video about that. because I was going to make it the topic of the week for this video, but I already had a topic of the week for this video, so I shifted it up. And then secondly, we have on Tuesday will be Roll and Write Day. I'll be doing 3 different videos on Tuesday, Rolling Realms, Paper Dungeons, and then also 5 roll and writes that we're not keeping and why. So there's going to be 3 different videos all around roll and writes. Again, one's a roundup and then 2 dedicated videos for those. You already know my opinion of Rolling Realms. I guess you know to some extent my opinion on the 5 that I'm not keeping, although not that clear because I actually like some of them, but I'm not keeping them. But that will be that. And then lastly, the games on the table. This is not what I'm playing the next day or two, although I do have the rules. I actually do have to play some of these. But this is basically some of the retail games that I want to cover. You know, Anno 1800, Awkward Guests, Robin Hood, Beyond the Sun. I guess Warpgate shouldn't necessarily be counted because they do have a game found coming up for the expansion, but this is retail. Then we have Search for Planet X, Pendulum, Sanctum, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. There are so many games that I want to cover that I'm excited to be able to dive into over the next few weeks until things get crazy again. Until next time, I am Alex Ratcliffe from Board Game Co. Thanks for being here. Thanks for all the help, the support, the comments, the stuff, all the stuff. Very much appreciate you. And as always, have a good one.